shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. We're being broadcast live tonight, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn and TalkStream Live, and also on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hope you're having a good day. Let's see. And no matter how you are listening, make sure you stop in and say hi in one of the chat rooms, or send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, you can absolutely do so. You can support my radio habit directly using the cash tag, and that is $TheSpacesBetween. Or you can go to the website, and that is www.paisleywild.com. There's ways to contact me. There, you can send me an email, or I think there's a suggestion box kind of thing. So if you have an idea for a show, or if you have a question, it's a good place to start. The book, because weekends are insane. My book, you can't really read it. I should just load the picture so I can just pop it over. It's The Wild Pagan A to Z. Is available on Amazon right at the moment, but it will be available on the website this next week. Just gotta get some decent pictures, and yeah. $7.99 for print. Real basic. If you want it autographed, I suppose I can do that. I don't know. Is that something people want? I don't know. There will be more stuff on the website as well. This coming week, we're going to be doing some spell jars, so those will be available. So not everybody has the time or energy to sit down and create your own spell jars, so we're going to do some, like protection, self-love, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? Oh, the call line is open tonight. That number is 213-233-3998, or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. So yes, blessed Beltane to everybody, one and all. For some of you, Beltane is coming to an end, or has already ended, and you're getting up and getting ready to have your coffee because you're in a different part of the world, and that's okay. And for some of us, well, hey, the activities are just getting started because the sun's finally down. And so however you celebrate, do it with deep cleansing breath, and be ready to, set your intentions for the coming year. What do you want to do from this Beltane to the next? Do you have a goal? Something you want to accomplish? Some of us do, some of us don't. I want to write a couple more books because that was fun. And so yeah, there's one of my twos. So yeah, it's a thing I shall do. That's just all there is to it. If you have a chance, by all means, check out iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio, and it combines the non-psychoactive properties of the ayahuasca with some high-quality CBD to help cure what ails you, because you know what? There's just some stuff floating around out there that we don't want to deal with. So if you can find a way to protect yourself, I generally recommend you do so. You really should, yes. Let's see. If you do go to iLife.com, if you use a coupon code TFR, like Tom, Frank, Robert, Rachel, whatever, you'll get a $5 off coupon for iLife. Yeah, you should check it out. Yes. And if you do have questions, by all means, send the folks at iLife.com a quick question. They'll clarify things. They will. Um, looks like the chat room is chilling out tonight. And you know what? Sometimes we just need more of the chilling out too. Really, truly. I know, like, when I'm working, because I have a day job for a little bit longer. When I'm working and I do the show and do all the other things, suddenly I'm exhausted and I have no energy to do anything except for sit there and just kind of zone. And that's not very productive. So, yeah, just be careful. Let's see. Well, goodness. Let's see. Sorry, can't talk and type at the same time. There. One of these days I'll be grown up enough I can talk and type at the same time. So yeah. Yeah. I'm close. Well, some days I can, but you know what? Some days I just can't, and if I try to talk and type at the same time, the things I'm coming out my fingertips will be the same things coming out my mouth, and that doesn't always make a whole lot of sense. It happens when I read stories to Mini-Me too, occasionally. She'll start patting me on the shoulder like, Mom, wake up, Mom, you're reading it wrong. It's like, sorry, kid. I fell asleep mid-word. Yeah, let's not do that. So, tonight, I got to thinking it's been a while since we really talked about divination in depth. Again, there's one of the I talked about it. Oh gosh, like 2 years ago, almost. So, some things have changed. I've got a better understanding of divination. I hope you guys have a better understanding of divination. So, let's talk about it. So, basically, what is divination? It's the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. And it's kind of nice. That definition hasn't changed in 2 years. So much else has. So I'm going to talk about astrology, tarot, runes, a little bit about dowsing, lithomancy, numerology, some scrying, tarot, and tasiography, which is also tea leaves. Because actually I like a good cup of tea. Nothing wrong with that. Some of these different divination types are a lot more in-depth and intricate and require a lot more understanding or a deeper level of understanding than others. I mean, the difference between, say, astrology and a pendulum is really big. Pendulum generally goes yes, no, maybe. Try again. It's like a magic 8-ball. But astrology often is extraordinarily complex. It's the difference between, putting a Band-Aid on and open heart surgery, basically. But, if you only have a little cut on your finger, you only need a Band-Aid. You don't need open heart surgery. So use the right tool for the job, A. B, regardless of what divinatory or divination tool that you are using, it could be the runes or the tarot or the crystal ball like I have, or whatever. All of those different methods of communication are truly just a way for your spirit guides or your ancestors or whomever it is you work with most to really communicate with you. Because generally speaking, they don't sit across the table from you and say, hey chickadee, what you doing? What you got going on? Let's talk about some stuff that's coming up. I mean, really, truly. So stop and think about it. With divination, there's bits and pieces to it that just are more interpretive, I suppose, but some of it is like blatant in your face. There's nothing like being called out by a tarot deck, honestly. It's such a grand time. So, yeah, just remember that a lot of these things do require some more in-depth research and in-depth study. And, like with astrology, for instance, it's a big thing. It's kind of a big deal. So similar to a clock, the zodiac is divided into 12 different zones or houses, and each of those different houses is ruled by a different sign. And I've got a list of them, and you don't have to remember them all. I promise I won't quiz you at the end of the night. Yeah, so the zodiac begins with the first house and then goes counterclockwise instead of clockwise. Where is it? I clicked out of a screen. Sometimes keeping stuff in the cloud is awesome, right? You don't have to have paper. You got all this stuff. And that's great up until you forget something and you close out a window and you're like, well, drat. Because, yes. Aaron wants to know, is there a cost for learning about a future event for the person that tells or seeks it? Ooh, excellent question. So, that is really up to the person who is doing the divination. Some people do read cards or runes or whatever at no cost. They do it just to help others or talk to their spirit guides or that kind of thing, just to help others because they feel they don't need that material reward, or they feel like it's, their time needs to be spent doing this thing because it's part of their path or part of their tradition, or they just feel called to do this, and that's okay. However, and some people do charge for divination. If you go online, you can see all sorts of different, just Google tarot card readers, and you will be given a wide variety of individuals that will read tarot for you. All of them have a variety of accuracy. I'm not going to suggest any one specific one just because that's not what I do. And so, yeah, there's lots of folks out there. Aaron clarified spiritual cost. So I don't feel that there is, provided that the person who's doing the divination is in tune with themselves and the tools that they're using. Now, for some practices, I suppose you could use bodily fluids in one way, shape, or another, because that is common in some traditions, not mine. Is that a spiritual cost? I don't know. Hi, Kai. That is really... It depends on, what you're doing. You should not have to self-sacrifice or sacrifice someone else or something else in order for divination to come about. I'm not going to tell anybody to fondle the entrails of anything for a divinatory practice. It's just not my gig. I know some people will probably swear by it, but I can find other things to use a chicken for, honestly. That's where I get my garden eggs, or my eggs, my farm fresh eggs, yes. So, the different zodiac signs, or astrological signs, are Aquarius, which starts January 20th and goes to February 18th. And then next is Pisces, which is February 19 to March 20. Aries is March 21st to April 19. Taurus is April 20 to May 20. Gemini is May 21 to June 20. Cancer is June 21 to July 22. Leo is July 23rd to August 22nd. Virgo is August 23rd to September 22nd. Libra is September 23rd to October 22nd. Scorpio is October 23rd to November 21st. Sagittarius is November 22nd to December 21st. And Capricorn is December 22nd to January 19th. So today, being May 1st, if your birthday was today, much like Brent Thomas, happy birthday, Brent, Brent is a Taurus. So, yeah, happy birthday to Brent. Moving on. So, astrology itself is defined by its etymological signification. The big words, right? It's basically the science of the stars. So among scientists, which originally it was synonymous with astronomy, it's basically the judging of the influences of the stars upon human affairs and of foretelling events by their position and aspects. Astrology is considered a non-psychic form of divination. The assumption is that anybody can study the stars and the position of the stars and the moon and the earth and the sun and all the things in the sky to figure out what the meanings are, what the significance of the different positions are, and how they weigh upon you. If you get a birth chart done, which is actually really fascinating, I have had mine done. It is fascinating. You really get kind of called out, and you can see, oh, that's why I'm like that. Oh, that's what that's all about. Geez. Okay, then. I'm just going to go back to sleep now. It was really, really interesting and explained a lot about me. So the interpretation of your astrology generally shows a bigger picture of a thing rather than the little details. So if you're reading your horoscope, for instance, or having your horoscope read, it's not going to say that you should wear a blue shirt with a collar on June 13 of 2029 because that will help you win the lottery. Or, that's not the kind of specific we're talking about. It's, all right, well, you've had this stuff happen in your past. This is what your stars mean. This is how this aligns. And so it's influenced your world in this fashion. So, yeah, it's interesting. So Babylonians supposedly started the astrology and this practice, and so that's where it originates. And it's been in use for over 4,000 years. Once upon a time, astrology and astronomy were the exact same thing. It wasn't until people started trending away from believing in the supernatural and the esoteric that astronomy and astrology kind of split off into two different things. Are they related? Yeah, you betcha, because they're all talking about what's happening up in the sky. But is now astronomy is a study of the stars in the scientific way, and now astrology is considered the more esoteric interpretation. So the primary tools with astrology are things you don't have to carry around with you, which is kind of cool. The moon, the stars, planets, and any other thing that's happening up in the sky, the celestial bodies. With astrology, it's divided into houses. So each house is associated with various traits, and they often begin with self and then expand into society and then beyond. So if you do have your birth chart, it really truly starts at the moment that you were born. So if you have a reading done, they're going to ask, what time of day were you born? Not just what day, but what time. Because it really does impact what's happening with you. In that exact moment that you're born, the planets are all in very specific signs and houses. And as an astrologer interprets the chart, they determine the meaning of each of the different planets and the houses that it's in, the sign that it's associated with. And it really helps you understand the different obstacles in your life or gifts in your life that you have in this specific incarnation, because it changes from one incarnation to the other. So when this life is done and you move on to the next, you'll have an entirely different birth chart. And will some things carry over? Yeah, sure. But for a lot of it, it'll be new things. An astrologer can also tell you what parts of your life that you might need to focus on a little bit more, or where you might need to take some action. And that is something to really pay attention to, because often there's that says, hey, you really need to dial this in, and is not present in our life today. It's not in our face, if you will. It's more of I got to work on that someday down the road. It's like putting off cleaning out the garage. I know I need to clean out the garage. Do I need to do it today? Nah, I just don't feel like it today. I can do it tomorrow. Sometimes you need to work on it now. So, today's astrologers work on the Placidus system, and this one originated in the 17th century. And so it uses the 4 angles of the horoscope that are formed by the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th houses. And I'll talk about the houses in a minute, probably after the break. And the system doesn't work quite the same for those that are further north or further south, because it squeezes the houses. So if you've ever looked at a protractor or a compass or a clock or any of those things, you get the little tally marks on the outside, but the closer you get to the center, the little tally marks get closer and closer together and you can't read them. Same thing here. So the poles are where it gets all the middle, and it gets bigger as you get closer towards the equator. So there is an alternative. It's called the equal house system. A little bit different. And it uses the degree of ascendant in a sign, and then assigns each subsequent house the same degree with the following sign. So that means there's no squeezed houses. Everybody's just got kind of a representative space. So which one works best for you? It depends. Which one really calls out to you, and which one do you feel you need to learn more about? And honestly, there's no right way. You got to figure this one out on your own. And if you have someone who can mentor you as you're learning about astrology, that's a very good thing. Because, you need more. You need more help. You need more guidance than I can give you here. There are several house systems that can be used. The Equal, the Placidus, the Coke, the Regiomontanus, the Porphyry, the Campanus, the Morinus, the Topocentric, the Solar, just to name a few that I can barely pronounce. There's more. It gets worse. So, if you are following your horoscope in a magazine, for instance, you're probably reading a solar house system, because your birth time is absolutely unknown by the author of that particular horoscope. And so that kind of a system, the ascendant is formed by placing the sun of the individual on the ascendant. Does that make sense? As we're talking about it, not so much, but if you sit down and study it, it makes more sense, I promise. So the first 6 houses are considered very, very personal houses, and the last 6 as more interpersonal. And so you need to, if you get your natal chart done, you need to really think about that one a little bit, because the first 6 houses are all about you and what is going on with you. And it's focused on you. And the last 6 houses are more focused on how you interact with everything else, with other people, with other things. It's your interaction rather than you specific. And being able to understand both sides of this particular bit is really good, because, well, if you know more about you, it makes it easier for you to manage yourself, to get stuff done. And if you know more about how you interact with other people, It makes it easier for you to be a manager, for instance, or a supervisor, because you know how you're going to interact with different people and personality types. Excellent thing that you can put in your quiver anytime that you are trying to find a job and you have some sort of interpersonal training. Very good thing, I promise. And the class is actually really interesting too. So, but yeah, how you interact with other people will really help your employer or your family know, are you going to be a team player, or are you going to be the jerk that, you know, says why, or this sucks, or, you know, pouts the entire time. So don't be Johnny Raincloud. You don't have to be Susie Sunshine, but you don't have to be Johnny Raincloud either. Find a happy medium. Yeah, and I'm not going to start the houses until we come back from break, because hey, it's our first break time already. First half hour flying by, I promise. It's screaming by. And when we come back, yeah, we'll start talking about the houses and what's next. Be right back, guys. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Apparently, Justin is not joining us because he's busy controlling everything. No, I'm joking. I'm only kind of yanking at you just a little bit just because I can. So Justin says he's the guy that can't work for an employer. Owns his own business, so his bosses as customers. Can't have someone else decide his income and future. Yes. Yeah. I get it. Trust me. I understand. So, we're talking about astrology, and we're just about to start on the houses before break. So, here we go. If you do have a question, phone lines are open, and you can also drop questions and stuff in the inbox here for the chat rooms. All right, so the first house in the zodiac covers all of your firsts. First impression, the self, appearance, leadership, new things, fresh starts, new beginnings. You're on the cusp or starting of the edge. So this house is referred to as your rising sign or your ascendant, and is ruled by Aries. Your second house is the house that covers all matters related to your immediate material and physical environment. Taste, smells, sound, touch, sights. It also rules income, money, and self-esteem, and is ruled by Taurus. Your third house is the one that rules all forms of communication. Your talking, your thinking, your gadgets, your devices, think cell phones, messenger, that kind of thing. The third house also covers your siblings, neighborhoods, local travel, libraries, schools, teachers, and community affairs, and is ruled by Gemini. Fourth house is ruled by Cancer and sits at the very bottom of the zodiac wheel, and is considered the foundation of all things. So this would be your home, your privacy, your basic security, your parents, your children, your own ability to parent, nurture, and that TLC that we all need. Hello, Nightshade. Your fifth house is ruled by Leo, and it governs self-expression, drama, creativity, color, attention, romance, fun, and play. And your sixth house is the domain of health and service. So it rules your schedules, your organization, your to-do list, your routines, your fitness, diet, exercise, your natural living, your healthy living, helpfulness, and being in service or of service to others. It's ruled by Virgo. So, and those are the houses that are attributed to you, the person, and how you're interacting with things around you and what you're trying to accomplish. And if you wonder if something like this can really truly tell you anything about you, yes. My own reading, I gotta tell you, when I first read it, it's like, really? Well, that's interesting. Huh. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's interesting too. Like, wow. These are all really interesting things. Why am I being called out by a piece of paper and someone I don't know? And really, that's how it felt. I felt like I was being called out because, well, I kind of was. For choices and decisions made and my reaction to different things and my interpretation, not just of self, but also, family, friends, relationships. And yeah, it's like, oh, that's why I do all those things. Gotcha. Well, now that I know what I can do to fix it or change it or get better about something. So, yeah. If you have a chance to get your birth chart, you should. Just saying. Your seventh house is the first of the interpersonal houses. Is the sector of relationships and other people. So this one would be governing your partnerships, your not just your business partnerships, but also your personal ones. and other relationship associated matters like contracts, marriages, business deals. For that reason, it's, ruled by Libra, the balance of things. Yes. The eighth house is kind of a little more mysterious. I can talk, honest. And it rules birth, death, sex, transformation, mysteries, merged energies, and bonding at a very, very deep level. It also rules other people's property and money, so like real estate, inheritance, investments, that kind of thing. And it's ruled by Scorpio. So this is the one where, if you don't know what your parents are doing with your inheritance, the secret is in your eighth house. I'm sorry, but it's there. The ninth house covers the higher mind, expansion, international and long distance travel, foreign languages, inspiration, optimism, publishing, broadcasting, higher education, luck, risk, adventure, gambling. It's interesting to me that higher education and gambling are in the same house. Not sure what that means. Religion is right in there too, along with philosophy, morals, and ethics. And this is ruled by Sagittarius. The 10th house is at the top and at the most public part of your chart. So it governs structures, corporations, traditions, and public image, fame, honors, achievements, awards, boundaries. Boundaries are good. Boundaries are a must. Rules, discipline, authority, your father, and elements of fatherhood. And if you're on the cusp or on the border of the 10th house, it's also called midheaven and clues astrologers into your particular career path. And it was funny. So for me, my 10th house said that I should kind of be doing what I'm doing right now and having a YouTube show and writing books and talking to people. But then my 11th house said I'm also shy. It's like there's so many complicated things in my natal chart. It was bizarre. I kept hitting the extremes. I'm a Libra. That makes some sense. So, the 10th house is ruled by Capricorn. Let's see. The next one is the 11th house, and it rules teams, friendships, groups, society, technology, video and electronic media, networking things, social justice, which, contrary to all of the stuff that we're seeing on TV today, social justice is a real thing and should happen. Social justice and rebellion are in the same house, along with humanitarian causes. The 11th house also rules originality, eccentricity, sudden events, surprises, invention, astronomy, sci-fi, and all things futuristic, and is ruled by Aquarius. So, yeah. There are some things that just wouldn't... It's like, why are those all in the same house? Well, because you have similar energies associated with them. So with the 12th house and the last house, it rules endings. I mean, it's the last one, so of course. So it covers the final stages of a project, tying up loose ends, completions, the afterlife, old age, surrender, and is also associated with separation from society, institutions, hospitals, jails, hidden agendas, and secret enemies, the things you don't know about. It also rules the imagination, creativity, the arts, like film, dance, poetry, journals, and the subconscious mind is ruled by Pisces. So with all of those, I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot of information there. I'm really just touching on it, so it's not even in depth. And there's a lot of information in this list that I didn't give you because, wow, we'd be here like for the next 2 weeks talking about astrology and you still wouldn't know it all. And I'd still be learning. Astrology, just like the pagan path, is one of self-discovery. And you're learning things. And just like I've mentioned before, the pagan path really is one where you are learning more about yourself. It's a spiritual path. It's a journey. It's an adventure. So, yeah. Aquarius. So the different zodiac signs, I gave you a list. Now we're going to give some more details because that's why we're here, right? So with Aquarius, the first one of the year, the calendar year. So, all right, time out. Really quick. When I give you all these different dates, those are associated with our calendar as we read it today. It wasn't always set up this way, so it's just an approximation. And it's a way for us to figure out, what the calendar dates are now. When astrology was first used, like 4,000 years ago, they didn't have January yet. It wasn't there. So, yeah, just think about that for a moment. And, what is it you need to remember about these different zodiac signs? Well, they fit now. It's the same time frame, just not the same calendar date. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that correctly. If I didn't, I'm sorry. I'll try again later. So, some of the zodiac signs are air elements, some are water, some are earth, and some are fire. And so I'll mention that too as we go through the list here. So Aquarius is an air element. It is ruled by Uranus and Saturn both. And those who fall in the zodiac chart as an Aquarius often have as strengths. They're very progressive, they're original, they're very independent and humanitarian. But sometimes they're going to run from emotional expression. They can be occasionally temperamental, uncompromising, very aloof. Aquarius folks tend to like having fun with their friends and helping others, fighting for causes, intellectual and stimulating conversation. But they can also listen very well. But they can't handle broken promises, period. They don't like being lonely. They don't like dull or boring situations. Do any of us really? And they really can't stand people who disagree with them. So think about it. How many of the presidents of the U.S. that we celebrate in January and February were actually Aquarius signs? A lot of them. Explain some of those political debates because, yeah, they don't like people who disagree with them. Interesting. Pisces is next on the list. This is February to March. Pisces is a water element. Kind of makes a lot of sense, seeing as how Pisces are fish. Water element. Yeah, okay. Pisces are ruled by both Neptune and Jupiter. Strengths, they're very compassionate. They're very artistic, intuitive, gentle, musical, wise people. They're awesome. But they can also be kind of fearful. They can be overly trusting. They can be quite sad. They can have a desire to escape reality. And they can also easily become a victim or martyr for a cause. So be careful, Pisces folks. Don't set yourself up to be a martyr. That's not a good thing. Pisces often like being alone, sleeping. Okay, I'm a Libra and I like sleeping. Music, romance, visual media, swimming, of course, and spiritual themes. But they don't really like anybody who's a know-it-all, being criticized, or the past coming back to haunt them because maybe they made poor choices in the past and now they have to deal with their repercussions. I know a few Pisces that have had to deal with this. Cruelty of any kind. They just can't handle it. Period. Nope. Done. Psh. Walking away. Which is a good thing. Next on the list is Aries. So Aries is a fire element and ruled by Mars. Strengths would be courageous, determined, confident, enthusiastic, optimistic, honest, and passionate. Weaknesses, well, they're probably going to be impatient, moody, short-tempered, impulsive, aggressive. They want to get it done now, and let's just go. But they're going to be wearing comfortable clothes when they do the things. They have no problems taking on leadership roles. They like physical challenges and individual sports. They cannot stand any kind of inactivity, delays, or work that does not use their talents. They don't like busy work. They want something that's going to challenge them, which I totally understand. I know a few Aries folks, and yes, they really are like this. If you're one of them, I get it. I understand. It's okay. Next on the list, Taurus. It's an earth element and is ruled by Venus. So some of the strengths associated with Taurus would be they're very reliable, very patient, very practical, devoted, responsible, stable. But the weaknesses would be stubborn, possessive, uncompromising. Yeah, I know some of these folks. Tauruses really like to garden. They like to cook. They like music, romance. They like wearing high quality clothes and symbols of wealth, working with their hands. And they don't like sudden changes, unexpected complications, any sort of insecurity, or synthetic fabrics. Which, I kind of understand that one too. There's some synthetic fabrics out there that drive me insane. So, yeah. And real quick, before I go on to Gemini, remember that all of these, they're kind of a rough guideline. They're a part of things. It's not like absolute, Every Taurus is not always going to be responsible and stubborn and prefer working with their hands and can't wear synthetic clothing. Whatever. There's going to be a blend here. There's going to be some extremes, just like not everybody likes salt and pepper on their when they are seasoning their dishes. Sometimes they prefer garlic or onion or paprika or curry or whatever. It varies. And so think of it as a kind of a spectrum disorder, if you will. There's going to be a little bit of all of these things within each of the different zodiac signs, just at different percentages, which is why your birth chart makes so much sense. So number 5 here is Gemini. Gemini is an air element and is ruled by Mercury. Traits that are strengths would be they're very gentle, they're affectionate, they're curious, adaptable, learn quickly, and love to exchange ideas. However, they can also be quite nervous, inconsistent, and indecisive. Mini-Me is a Gemini. Oh my goodness. She's a poster child for Gemini. Geminis really like music, books, magazines. They like to talk with pretty much anyone and everyone. They love to just make short little trips around town. They like to go and do the things. Geminis don't really like being alone or being confined or repetition or routine. And if I stop and think about Mini-Me, yes, this is her 100% to a T. She hung out with some friends the other day, and I got pictures of her, playing around on the trampoline and having a good time, right? Okay, good. This is good. She's having a good time. And then my friend that was watching her, she sends me a message. She goes, "We're tired. Our ears are tired. We're all tired." And she won't stop talking. What do we do? It's like, well, you give her a book and you tell her to go read a story to herself, and she will, laying on the middle of the trampoline. Give her a dog to cuddle with. Seriously, she'll be happy. But yeah, she talked to everybody. So he then says, "Yep, I'm a Taurus, and that's me." Yeah, it's amazing how many of these descriptions are like, "Oh yeah, that's wow." Next on my list here is Cancer. Cancer is a water element ruled by the moon, and the strengths would be they're very tenacious, highly imaginative, loyal, emotional, very sympathetic and persuasive. Weaknesses, well, they're also going to be moody, pessimistic, suspicious, manipulative, insecure, tenacious, manipulative. Yeah, I can see how that might go together. Cancers, yeah, they love art, home-based hobbies, and relaxing in or near water. Helping loved ones, a good meal with friends. And they really don't like strangers. Any criticism of mom or revealing details of their personal lives. Which, yeah, I get that too. Leos are fire elements and ruled by the sun. Strengths would be they're very creative, passionate, generous, warm-hearted, cheerful, humorous. Shiny, happy people here. Weaknesses, well, they can kind of come across as arrogant, stubborn, self-centered, lazy, inflexible. I have a sister who's a Leo. Yeah, she kind of has some of these traits. Leos really like theater, taking holidays, being admired, expensive things, bright colors, and fun with friends. Leos don't really like being ignored. They don't like dealing with the difficult realities of life, and they don't like being treated like a king or a queen, even though Leo is a lion, right? Virgo is an earth element ruled by Mercury. Strengths would be they're very loyal, analytical, kind, hardworking, and practical. Salt of the earth here. Weaknesses, they can be quite shy and worry. They can be overly critical of self and others, and they can be often all work and no play. Virgos generally like animals, healthy food, books, nature, and cleanliness, but they dislike rudeness and asking for help or being anywhere near center stage. I can identify with so many of those things right there. Libra is next on my list. So Libra is an air element ruled by Venus. And some of the strengths, they're very cooperative folks, very diplomatic, gracious, fair-minded, and social. But they can often also be indecisive. They avoid confrontations and can carry a grudge and have to deal with some self-pity. I recognize all of those. Libras tend to like harmony, gentleness, and sharing with others, and going outside, being outdoors. Libras do not like violence, injustice, loud mouths, or conformity. Yeah. This is me. Sorry, guys. As Scorpio is next on the list. So Scorpio is a water element and ruled by Pluto or Mars. Strengths are resourceful, brave, passionate, stubborn folks. They're true friends. Weaknesses, they can be very distrusting, jealous, secretive, or violent even. Scorpio likes, truth, facts. They like being right, prefer long-time friends, teasing. They have the grand passions in life. They're always working on their opus. Scorpio dislikes, they don't like dishonesty. They don't like revealing secrets, and they can't stand passive people. Okay, so even though I'm a Libra, I do have some Scorpio tendencies because I was a whole month premature. I hatched early. It's the only time I've ever been early in my life. No, I'm joking. I can be early to other times, but generally it's barely. So yeah, I do have some Scorpio tendencies. Sadly, I can be a little stubborn once in a while. Just sometimes. Sagittarius is a fire element, ruled by Jupiter. Strengths would be they're very generous, idealistic folks with a great sense of humor. Weaknesses, they tend to promise more than they can deliver. They can be very impatient. Will say anything no matter how undiplomatic. Some of these Sagittarius folks really like let's see. Hold on. I skipped something. Strengths, generous, idealistic, great sense of humor. They promise more than they can deliver. Very impatient. Will say anything no matter how undiplomatic. I said that. Okay, I'm not lost. Sagittarius likes, freedom, travel, philosophy, being outside. Yeah, those are really good things. But they also can't stand clingy people, being constrained, or off-the-wall theories, details. So your Sagittarius folks are probably not going to believe in Bigfoot or the UFOs. They might, but probably not. Capricorn, last on the list. Earth element, ruled by Saturn. Very responsible, disciplined, self-control, and have good... generally, they're good managers. They are occasionally know-it-alls, which is a weakness. They can be unforgiving, condescending, and expect the worst. Capricorns like family, tradition, music, understanding, or understated status and quality craftsmanship. And they don't like, well, almost everything at some point. So, rough overview. It's break time, top of the hour. When we come back, we'll do some singing bowl. And we'll move on to the next thing on my list here. So be right back, guys. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are just off on an adventure into the spaces between. Yes, we are. So, singing bowl time. Yes, I have all the pieces. I could listen to that thing on repeat for hours and hours and hours and hours. Because it's fantastic. It truly, truly is. So we're going over some divination type tools. The first hour, well, we spent on astrology because, well, it's a big deal. I do some links from where I got the information. I'll include that in the show notes because that's the responsible thing to do. So the next on the list is cartography, which is also known as tarot. So basically, it's divining the future, or they call it fortune telling. A random selection of, or interpreting a random selection of cards. So cartomancy is fortune telling or divination using a deck of cards. So you can use a regular deck of cards or something specific like tarot cards. So tarot cards, there's generally 78. There's 5 suits. There's swords, cups, coins or pentacles, and wands or batons. And then the major arcana, which would be the permanent suit of Trump, if you will. So I have the Sun and Moon deck. And I got this because I loved the artwork. It reminded me of a childhood storybook that I had. And just really cool. It's got the sacred geometry on the back. Yeah, so this one here, this is Justice. It's got kind of the fairy girl with the balance or the scales. Love it. And there's some a mythology out there, or some mythos, if you will, about how you should never buy your own set of cards. I'm not sure where that started. I'm sure if I did any kind of research, I could figure it out. Maybe not. It's one of those random things that seems to be stuck in everybody's brain. No, you can buy your own set of cards, guys. How else are you going to get a deck of tarot cards? There's not very many that are handed down from one person to the next. I suppose you could put it on your Christmas list, but if you don't like your great Aunt Tilly, and she's the one who's going to buy you a deck of cards, are you sure that's the person you want to buying you a deck of cards? No. You want to select your own deck because you want one that's going to call to you and that you can communicate with. Blah. So, the Sun and Moon deck, that was one for me. And so tarot itself is derived from the Italian word tarocchi, which not sure where it came from, honestly. And it may have come from the river Taro. Not sure. It's possibly Arabic in origin, as a lot of the playing cards did originate in the Middle East. And it was a lot of the playing cards are very common or current or normal to have them in Europe by like 1400. In the 18th century, occultists claimed that the name tarot came from the conjunction of two Egyptian words meaning royal road, which indicated that the tarot was the path to wisdom, open to interpretation. So, the cards that were imported to Europe from Egypt consisted of 4 suits, similar to what we see today: the cups, swords, wands, or staves, and coins. And there's some symbolic meaning that is attributed to certain cards, some of which take on names like the sun or the moon. And the attachment of symbolism to the cards helped develop the trumps. And occultists suggest that the evolution of the tarot coincides very closely with both the rise of the Kabbalah and the Inquisition, and that the symbolism entrenched in the tarot is really hidden remnants of pagan Europe trying really, really hard to survive. And it's very possible. I won't say it's not. I wasn't around back then, but it was really hard for paganism there for a bit. So, modern tarot decks, such as we know them, generally showed up around the 15th century as a series of painted works of art, and they were used to play card games. And the decks often had a different number of cards, and they were not necessarily used for divination. They're used more to do things. And the decks were occasionally given out as a symbol of triumphs or things that people accomplished, and so that as the words change in the speaking, they became the trumps rather than triumphs. And some of those games later became known by other names, like the tarotchi or the tarot. And sometimes people will pronounce it as a tarot, and they even spell it with 2 R's, but it varies. Aaron wants to know, do some societies have ancient cards passed down? So there is some symbology that is common with some of the Egyptian cultures that could possibly have something to do with the origination of the tarot cards, but not necessarily. A lot of the cards as written today are originated with Aleister Crowley and the Thoth deck, and it wasn't until like the 18th century that a lot of the tarot was assumed to be more occult and more esoteric and used in divination. So there's the Marseille tarot was associated with Isis and Thoth, and so they were linked. And then Aleister Crowley, decided that it had to be like that. Hey, MCAT. And so the Thoth deck was made. Now, I've handled the Thoth deck. Doesn't resound with me. Actually gives me the EBGBs. I don't like it. I won't use it. Period. I don't know. Historians have tried to make connections regarding the tarot trumps and Egypt. Egyptologists said, no, that's not the way things are really truly happening. It's not real. It's your imagination. So, it's again an interpretation thing. In 1785, French occultist Jean-Baptiste Alliette became the first professional tarot diviner. So he popularized the use of tarot's divinatory tool to a wide audience, and was the first to develop and publish a set of correspondences linking cards to astrology, the 4 classical elements, earth, fire, air, and water, and the 4 humors, black bile, yellow bile, blood, and phlegm. And a lot of those are still used today. So I'm going to hold up a card. What is this? The Queen of Cups. Yeah, so in the deck that I use most for other people, if I hold it up, you can see the upside down triangle is a sign for feminism. And there's some other symbology in this particular card with the Queen of Cups. There's a crane, there's lotus blossoms, and she's holding a shell with some water. So that symbology itself gives you some different different meaning or divination to it. So Aaron wants to know, is there power in the cards, or is it all in the person? So in my interpretation, in my opinion, and it's not necessarily the one by everybody, not everybody has the same opinion, my opinion says that it's a tool, just like a hammer is a tool, or a pair of pliers is a tool. It's how the person communicates with their spirit guides or the divine, or the energies around them that they work with. And so some people are going to be more in tune with that than others. It's something you can develop, especially as you get to know the cards more. I'm going to hold up another one here. So this is, with this particular deck, this is the Fool. And there's all sorts of different symbology on there. There's this is a little brain just shut off. I hate that. Sanskrit symbol, with the alligator and the tiger, the sun. Yeah, it's the fool. So the fool is setting off on his journey. There is a story often associated with the whole tarot. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. Hey, Deb. So yeah, it's just I don't know. It's something to do some research on. So yeah, Aaron, it's not necessarily all in the person. Love you too, Deb. Hope you can come back and join us and play a while later. I hope you feel better. So when it comes to tarot, yes, you can learn the cards. Yes, you can learn the symbology. And every deck is going to be a little bit different, just like the Thoth deck. Not my thing at all. Period. Now, Carl Jung connected the symbology of the different trumps to the different archetypes. That's why the Fool, the Tower, that kind of thing, including that the tarot might play an important role in psychoanalysis. The hero's journey, discussed by Joseph Campbell, laid the foundation for the journey of the Fool, who jumps heedlessly off a cliff only to come full circle into the position of the magician. So the archetypal symbols in each card tell a story, and therefore clue the reader into what influences are appearing in the querent's own life. So, yeah, all of those different symbology things, yeah, different things. The Fool starts the journey, ends with the magician, and if you have a chance to read the story, it's really interesting. I've read it a couple times. I'm telling you to read it yourself. Get a hard copy if you can, so you can underline things and doodle in the margins, because there's going to be some things that stand out to you more than others, especially if you are doing tarot. Let's see. The archetypal symbols do not explain, however, how the tarot works. Even Jung could not explain that. It's the power of the reader using his or her intuitive mind to relate to the pattern of the symbols expressed in the particular layout that allows us to bring clarity into our lives as we seek to unravel our own mysteries. So the history is a really rich one, very powerful, a lot of mysticism to it, and it's really, really interesting. And you can do your own readings, honestly. It's really easy. And you can move along on your own journey, honestly. And maybe, Aaron, to answer that just a little bit more, yeah, it really has to do with your own, how you're reading it. So for me, personally, if I'm doing a tarot reading, either for myself or for someone else, even though I know there's all that imagery on any individual card, there's a lot. I have a crow deck also that I use more for myself or for specific situations. And I have a Moonology Oracle deck, which is even more different. If I'm seeing something, that's what I'm discussing with the person I'm doing the reading for. And it's like, hey, I'm seeing this and this and this, and this is my interpretation, blah. But I might use that same card with a different reading with someone else, and different symbology that is associated with the card will pop out to me more. So some of it is very, very intuitive and has to do with the person who's doing the reading. And some of it is your spirit guides. What are they poking at and saying, hey, this is the important thing for this, the right message. So, yeah. Yay, Deb. And not that I say yay about surgery, but I know you need to move forward, honey bunch. And I'm glad that maybe you can. So, with the different suits in the tarot, the minor arcana, so each suit is numbered 1, or the ace, through 10, and is followed by the 4 court cards: page, knight, queen, and king. There are occasionally other cards depending on what the deck is. So in this particular deck, I've got the king, the queen, the prince, and the princess. So, yeah. Page, knight, queen, king. It's just a little different. The symbology, again, is a little bit different as a result. So in that sense, they are very similar to like a regular playing deck, with one additional card. So instead of 13 per suit, there's 14. The minor arcana, or the minor secrets, all represent the things that govern our day-to-day life, including practical aspects, small-scale projects. Let's see, your relationships, that kind of thing. And because wholesome living is equally worldly and spiritual, the minor arcana cards are in no way less important than those of the major arcana. Just the details are a little different, and are an unmistakable mirror of the journey our souls are taking. So, Cups, Wands, Swords, Pentacles. The major arcana includes the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. Quite the variety, right? So, with Cups, is associated with... Hold on. Oh, so Lucky says that she used to read runes, and the recipient will find power in the message or in the messenger. The reader who is working without ego will deflect the attention from self and deliver truth to the client. Yes. With Cups, associated with water, because cups hold water, right? And so it's the suit of your heart and summer and the second chakra, also known as the sacral chakra. So the cup cards tend to show the state of our emotions and how we relate to ourselves, as well as to the people and the world outside of us. The cup cards show whether we have pleasure, passion, friendliness, and sensuality in our lives. They're mostly relationship cards, so they can show how a particular relationship, past or present, makes us feel, or how we relate to the people in our lives, including your special someone. When we're out of balance in this particular area, we it happens. We lack self-confidence, and we tend to hide our feelings and avoid closeness. We might even walk away instead of trying to get closer. Cup cards help us understand ourselves better and guide us to the solutions that our heart desperately craves. Your cup cards have rich imagery and symbolism, and they incorporate past influences, present situations, and hints about the future. Many of them are very versatile in meaning, just like our changing emotions, yet more than a few are unmistakably power in what they convey, like the Queen of Cups. The suit of Wands is associated with the fire element, or the suit of Clubs, spring, and the third chakra, also known as the solar plexus chakra. And wand cards tend to show us the state of our fiery passions in life. Those things that we want to accomplish, the projects we want to work on, our career, our strong interests, including our social and political activities. Wand cards tend to show whether we can make viable plans and stick to them. We can all make plans, but do we stick to them? They show how we handle obstacles, whether we give up too quickly or do we maintain resilience. Excuse me. They show our relationship to sustained action. When we're out of balance in this area, we lack confidence, and we assume that the world is kind of against us, and that people are just selfish. Our leadership skills need to be improved, and we must find our inner strength and drive. The wand cards give us these details with really kind of crazy accuracy. I'm telling you, a deck of cards can call you out. Wands are a powerful suit. Each wand card can single-handedly change the progression of a reading, giving it a positive or negative turn, and they're just as powerful in one-card readings. The suit of Swords is associated with the element of air, or spades, autumn, and the fourth chakra, also known as the heart chakra. While most people assume that the heart chakra only has to do with love, it has another purpose, that of connecting our spiritual reality with our worldly reality. The heart chakra is a bridge between our mental states, including how calm and clear our minds are, and our ability to be in the world peacefully. The element of air directly has to do with our minds and thoughts, and because our minds are highly complex with many nuances and changes, the suit of swords requires the keenest psychic sense to intuit the situation at hand. Swords cards are often very hard to understand. Oy, are they ever. And when we're out of balance, we tend to experience negativity, hopelessness, and mood swings, a lack of interest, and just other unpleasant emotions, often fueled by our distorted but habitual thinking processes. So while most cards in the suit of swords look gloomy at first glance, deeper meanings often have hidden positive messages that might surprise you. The suit of pentacles is associated with the earth element, or the suit of diamonds if you're looking at a plain deck. Winter and the first chakra, also known as the root chakra. The pentacle cards tend to show the state of our most basic needs: food, water, shelter, warmth, rest, breathing, sleep, basic security, and safety. So they often show the amount of abundance that we have in our lives, and they reveal whether we are emotionally open to the universe's generosity or not. They provide a 360-degree picture of our ability to meet our own primal worldly needs and clarify the whys and the hows and the whatsits. When we're out of balance, we experience anxiety, insecurity, poor decision-making, and exaggerated detachment from the world. The pentacles help us understand the situation better and guide us to the solutions that we crave and desperately need. The pentacles are the worldliest of all of the suits, and they use deep mystical imagery just as frequently as the other suits, although the specific meaning of each card can depend on the other cards that show up in the spread. Most pentacle cards have very clear and precise meanings. So, let's see where I'm at. I've got the major arcana. Blah. Yes. And some other stuff. Okay. Just checking my time. I wanted to make sure I get through at least this part. We've got just about 3 minutes before the break, so I think we're good. Time looks good. Check there. Yeah, okay. Just making sure I'm dotting my I's, crossing my T's. I have to do that too. So with the major arcana, they are numbered. They start with 0, and the 0 card is the Fool. So the Fool is the first card in the deck because he is the most vulnerable of all of the archetypes. He's not experienced the ups and downs of life, so he's unaware of the magnitude of life's challenges and the strength and potential that he might hold. When the Fool comes up in a tarot reading, you are encouraged to take on his open and willing energy and embrace all that lies ahead of you without worry. The Magician card is a reminder that you are a unique being and have many gifts that others do not hold. These skills set you apart from the crowd and can help you begin new projects or overcome adversity. When the Magician comes up in your tarot reading, it's a reminder that you don't have to wait. You already have all of the tools and everything you need to move forward to accomplish what you have set out to do. Sometimes we just need the nudge, the reminder, because we forget, and it happens. It's okay. The High Priestess card is the most intuitive, connected card in the deck. The High Priestess is a card of awareness and subconsciousness. The card urges you to listen to your inner voice and follow your instincts. And your mind knows far, far more than you think it might. When the Priestess arises in your tarot reading, stop looking for answers in the outside world and instead look within for the guidance that you seek. The Empress card is the most feminine in the deck and greatly encourages compassion, beauty, and love. The Empress card is very connected to Mother Nature, and her influence is very powerful. And so when you absorb the energy of the natural world around you, you'll just soak it up. The Emperor card is one of leadership and power. He's a very authoritative force, who has been through many experiences to achieve this status. He represents structure and solidity and reminds you that you too hold immense amounts of power over your own life and what happens to it. The Hierophant is like a messenger from the heavens. He's experienced in spirituality and guidance, and his job is to bring the lessons down to us here in the real world. when the Hierophant comes up in your reading, you're encouraged to follow the rules and find a spiritual perspective on your current situation. So sometimes that's easier said than done. I'm going to stop there because, hey, guess what? It's break time. Can you believe that? I swear. Some nights just scream by. But it's Beltane, so of course it's screaming by. Right? That's what it does. Isn't that the rule? Not necessarily, but we'll be right back.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, sing it unto me, the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. And we are talking about divination tools tonight. We've talked about astrology, and now we're talking about tarot. Kind of going through the major arcana right at the moment, and then we'll move on to the next item on my list. We'll see how far we get tonight. May have to pick it up and finish it off on Friday next week. We'll see. So, the next one on my list is the Lovers. So, it's no surprise that the Lovers card represents the close relationships in your life. If it comes up in your reading, your love life may need to be in, of extra focus and attention. However, it's not just a card for your relationships, but also sometimes may say that your love life needs extra focus and attention. And it's a card for your values and decisions. So you may find the Lovers come up when you're at a crossroads and trying to make a decision, and must consider all the possible consequences of your choices. So, yeah. Sometimes, yes, because crossroads are real. The Chariot card is connected to your natural drive and determination and can indicate an upcoming victory. The card reminds you that your greatest successes won't come through limited thinking. When you combine the knowledge of your mind with the force of your heart and spirit, you are an unstoppable force. The Strength card is one... Okay, it's kind of obvious when you look at it seriously, but Strength is definitely a card about, strength, but not necessarily physical strength. Strength represents the fortitude of your heart, your level of courage, and your ability to withstand the things that life might hand you. If the Strength card shows up in your reading, you're reminded that you're strong enough to handle whatever you might be facing, and you will come out of it with even more power than you had before. The Hermit card, the Hermit likes to be alone. The Hermit. He knows that the only way to process what is happening in life is to withdraw from the noise of the world and create the quiet space of solitude. When the Hermit comes up in your reading, the answers you need will come from within. Be very still and listen. This is when journaling, meditation, those are big deals. You should do them. The Wheel of Fortune is constantly revolving. Sometimes you'll be at the top, and sometimes you'll be at the bottom, and sometimes you're somewhere in between. So this particular card reminds you that nothing is permanent. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad, but you must cherish the lessons that this moment is bringing to you. Yeah. If someone does something that goes really awry, I ask them, did you learn anything? And they say yes or no. If they say yes, it's a very valuable lesson. And if they say no, then it was a very expensive lesson. Same thing, just two different interpretations. So, the Justice card is your firm but fair reminder that karma is real and it's there. And it's a consequence, or there is a consequence for every action. Whatever life is handing you at this moment comes from decisions that you've made in the past, and whether it's a punishment or a reward, it's exactly what you deserve, or what you've been asking for. So if it's coming up in your tarot reading, and make sure you're acting fairly in all of your interactions with others. The Hanged Man is a card that comes up when you are in limbo. Yes. He tells you that sometimes small sacrifices might need to be made in order to benefit the bigger picture. When the Hanged Man arises in your reading, you'll likely want to, make a move of some sort, but you might not know where to go. I get it. So begin by letting go of things, lighten your grip on something that is no longer working for you, or detach for yourself from the outcome of the situation to help you to release yourself. Yeah, sometimes we hang on for too long when we know we shouldn't. The Death card is really, truly one of the most misunderstood cards in the tarot deck, period. Absolutely, period. Death is not a card generally associated with physical death. So the Death card speaks to cycles, the ends of cycles, but also the beginnings of cycles. So it's a reminder that all things must pass. So if you're hanging on to relationships, feelings, fears, or situations from the past, they will hinder you from allowing new and better things to enter your life. So take comfort knowing that in every ending lies a chance for a new beginning, a new thing. This is a big deal, and it's a good thing. Next on the list is Temperance. So the Temperance card is a master of moderation. She encourages peace and patience and reminds you to go with the flow rather than trying to force a specific pace or direction. And when Temperance turns up, it's a message to take things as they come and remain flexible enough to change with the changes. Don't be so, inflexible. The Devil card carries heavy feelings of restraint and powerlessness. You can tell that just by looking at the imagery on it. When the Devil comes up in your tarot reading, you're likely feeling like you have no control and are stuck where you're at, whatever situation it is. The Devil has convinced you that you have no options, but that's not really the truth. You're not trapped by external forces, but by your own limitations or your own unwillingness to move forward. You hold the keys to your own freedom. It's up to you to open the lock. Not saying it's easy, I'm just saying it's up to you. The Tower card is probably the most dreaded card in a tarot deck because the Tower is a representation of destruction. The Tower often comes up when everything in your life feels like it's just crumbling and you've got no way to stop it, sadly. The message of this card is to just let it fall. The weakest parts of your life must be torn down in order to build something strong and sturdy in their place, something that can last a lifetime. Honestly, when buildings were built out of stone, and they used to all the time, right? Often, if they were done with the building, they would tear it down, save all the rock, and put it into a new building or structure of some sort. Because sometimes you have to tear down the old to build the new. The Star card is the embodiment of hope and healing. She is a calming influence that brings messages of renewal, optimism, and inspiration. When the Star card comes up in your reading, she reminds you that the universe is working in your favor and encourages you to have faith in where you're being taken. The Moon card is greatly connected to your subconscious. It represents the thoughts, feelings, doubts, and fears that carry you internally. When the moon arises in your tarot reading, you may be feeling anxious and allowing these fears to override the memories of your past and your faith in the future. Do not be deceived. You can't believe everything that you see, hear, or even think. If you can draw these feelings to the surface and address them, you can rid yourself of worry. Often that is shadow work, boys and girls. And yes, we all need to do it. The Sun card is a very powerful and uplifting card. It represents happiness and joy, vitality, and optimism. When the Sun card comes up, it's a positive sign that things are working out well for you and you're moving in the right direction. Lift your head and realize that the good situations and people that are surrounding you are now and always. The Judgment card is where your past and your future come together. You're being called on to review your decisions and your actions until now to ensure they're in line with where you ultimately want to go. The Judgment card reminds you that your future is not set in stone and that it's never too late to make a change for the better. And then the World card is the last one in the major arcana. It represents completion, success, fulfillment. So when the World shows up in your reading, it says that you are exactly where you are meant to be on your path. You have a greater understanding of who you are after all you've been through, and you're ready for the next phase. So yeah, lots of cards. And so tarot is something that a lot of people do, and it's awesome. It's great. A lot of people talk about, doing tarot readings online or through Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever, and they charge for it sometimes they don't. There's a lot of interpretation with the deck, and not all decks resound with all people. For me, the Thoth deck, not my thing. I don't want anything to do with it. The Sun and Moon deck, yeah, bring that one on. I bought it the moment I heard about it and saw the artwork. I had to have it because it just connected with me so completely. So yes. Yeah. The link for this part will be in the show notes also, because yes. Let's see. What do we got? About 15 minutes. I just wanted to see where we're at and what I've got. So, I wanted to talk about the pendulum real quick, and I have one here. Boop, boop, boop. Pendulums are often quite simple. Honestly, they can be very simple. So this one is almost a plumb bob on a chain. And pendulums, you have to kind of set them and get used to them. And yeah, this one's pretty happy hanging straight up and down tonight. That's very cool. This is one I bought recently. The shape of it appealed to me. I don't know why. It just does. I like it. My very first pendulum that I had, I made. I created it myself. It's petrified wood and some beading and some wire work. Honestly, though, you could use a necklace with any kind of stone on it or thing, whatever that might be. A ring, even. So it does help if there's a point on the end, like this one, where it comes to some sort of point. It doesn't always, but it helps. That way it's a little more specific when you're doing your divination. And honestly, the pendulum is the very easiest because it's yes/no questions. You do have to charge and calibrate your pendulum. You can charge it in sunlight. You can charge it in moonlight. You can cleanse in salt. Depending on the stone, you can cleanse in water. This one being metal, it can be in water. Now, remember, if it's a crystal pendulum, some degrade in salt, some degrade in water. So do some research. Make sure you're using the right process to cleanse what you've got going on and to charge it. And if it helps you, get a piece of paper, write yes, up and down, no, right across, maybe going around, or whatever it is that works best. You can ask some questions to calibrate it, like, hey, is it dark outside? Or, hey, today is Saturday or Sunday or whatever, whatever it is. And so sometimes if you're holding it up, it'll start moving independently on its own, and that works. Sometimes, so for me, I often start with it just going in a circle, and then I stop, and it does its own thing, and lo and behold, it gives me yes, no, or it keeps going in the spiral. Like right now I'm getting a maybe because I'm not really asking a true question. Yeah, and so not all pendulums swing in the same way either, so which is kind of cool. Some are going to be horizontal and verticals, and others will be circular. Some don't do anything unless it's a really important question. So yeah, make sure you calibrate your pendulum, you work with it a bit, you get to know it. So I like the basic yes/no questions. I know that some people will use a pendulum if they're out shopping for new stones or jewelry. They'll hold the pendulum over whatever it is they're looking for and say, hey, is it giving me a yes? Is it giving me a no? Some of that is very interpretive. Just saying. Now, sometimes the pendulum doesn't work quite like you expected it would. Well, it may be because you're tired. Honestly, that happens. You may not feel good. A lot of our intuition and our divination tools don't work as well if we feel icky. And that's just all there is to it. If you feel like crap, or if you're depressed or anxious or emotional or, sick or something, it's just not going to work right. If you're tense and stressed and just feeling really negative about things in general, yeah, it might not work quite like you hoped. Sometimes, if you're too close to electrical equipment, things might not work. This one being nickel and metal, it is slightly magnetic, so If it's too close to a magnet, it might not work right. So some people nowadays have cell phone cases where the clasp is magnetic. And so yeah, if you've got your cell phone sitting on the table next to you and you're using your pendulum, and it's a metal pendulum, it might be biased because it's being attracted to the magnet. So be aware. Remember, your questions have to be pretty simple and specific. The yes/no questions, the real basic. Is the sky red or is it blue? You know, what is it? The absolutes. Am I going to get to sleep in tomorrow? Would be a good one. I would love to sleep in. Well, if your questions are not simple and specific enough, you might not get the right answer. You've not phrased your question properly, so you're getting an answer for the question you asked. But if the question you asked is not the one that you really wanted to ask, well, you know, that you got to revisit that slightly. Maybe you're not concentrating enough. Maybe you're just kind of going through the motions. And some pendulums just are not compatible with your energy. That's real. It's a thing. Just like some animals don't like some people, it's because they just don't click, and that's okay. Just move on. Relax. Keep an open mind. And in practice. You don't have to use your pendulum for everything. It's like, should I have oatmeal today? Yes or no? And mine is, should I have eggs today? And the answer is no. I am right now in a place in my life where I don't get to eat the eggs, which is sad. Some people will use pendulums to just ask the basic questions, but they can also be used to cleanse and dispel negative energy in a room. And they can help you to find lost objects or pets. You can find water lines or ley lines or other mineral lines in the ground, which is really cool. I'll probably be carrying this one around trying to figure out some ley lines. I know we've got one coming through the property here. I'm just not exactly 100% on where it is. But the energy has changed with the property since we moved in. It's only been 6 years. Yeah. Wow, it's been 6 years. And yeah, it's the energy of the land has changed. Yep. So, and the pendulum just works with your intuition and your sixth sense. So, the pendulum is a receiver and transmitter from your guardians, your guardian angels, your spiritual guides, any of that. So, as the pendulum moves, you get the answer to your question. So, yes, no, I like it. It's a very rational tool, and yeah. I just really love this one. I've worn it as a necklace just because I love it. So, if you're when you start with any of the divination tools, make sure you're journaling what you're doing, just so you know. So where do the answers come from with the pendulum? Well, some people wonder. There's a lot of debate. It's like, no, it's just you're moving it. It's not the energy. Because the pendulum can move with your hand movements, yes. So that's part of the reason why when I start a reading with my pendulum, I start with the spinning. And once I get going, it's like, this is the right thing or not the right thing. Also, some people use their dominant hand or non-dominant hand. I'm ambidextrous, so it's a little complicated. I'll use either hand. It kind of depends what's going on and how I'm feeling. So if you do have the opportunity to get a fancy pendulum, get one that's a stone. Quartz, for example, clear quartz. It has a really good pendulum. It should be, again, pointed slightly. It's associated with clarity and connecting to a higher purpose. Amethyst is often very connected with the spiritual aspects. And rose quartz is very, very calming. So if you have a stone or a crystal you feel very drawn to that you prefer, that could be a pendulum. You just want to make sure that it's rounded or pointed at one end. You can have more than one pendulum, yes. You can use different crystals with them. You can use different ones on different occasions. And so, yeah, whatever it is, you can use either one you buy or a DIY kind of thing. So, and yeah, again, this is the easy one. Astrology, yeah, that's the complicated one. Let's see, another one that I use is runes. Let's see. So, yeah, I got a little bit of time here. So runes, now I made this set. They look like bones. They're not. These are clay. Just look like scary finger bones. And these are the Elder Futhark. And they're part of the old Germanic runic alphabet. There's 24 symbols, and the first 6 spell out Futhark. So as the Nordic folks traveled around the world and spread through Europe, some of the runes did change form and meaning. So there's new alphabet forms. And I think then the younger Futhark has 33 runes. So it's not necessarily telling the future, but more of a tool for guidance. So if you throw the runes or drop the runes or pick some out at random, what is it? Again, this is why we write things down. And if you can make your own runes, that's awesome, because any tool, divination tool of any kind, if you make it yourself, you will have a stronger connection to it. Any of your spell jars, same thing. Can you buy them pre-made? Yes. Absolutely, you can buy stuff pre-made. Happens all the time. I've sold rune sets, just like I'm going to have spell jars available for purchase and some other protective type things for purchase on the website. Do you have to? No. Can you make your own? Absolutely. Is that what you want to do? Sure, if that's what you want to do. But if you don't have the time or the energy, or you're worried about your ability, I get it. So that's why those things will be available for sale. With the runes, you'll want to get a rune book, or there are apps that you can use. Same with the tarot. There's apps that you can download to help you learn more. Yes. I wouldn't necessarily use your cell phone if you're using the pendulum, just because magnetism can really, truly impact your pendulum, especially if it's a metal one. So, just a couple minutes left. I'm going to stop there, because otherwise I get to talking about reading in the flames and the oghams, and yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of different types. This is just a short overview of the different divinatory tools. I didn't even go into the big list. I mean, there's more stuff here. And the reason I only have a 2-hour show tonight. And I could probably talk about this stuff forever. Well, I have. We've been on the air for just over 2 years. Can you believe that? Wait. No. Yes. 2 years? Yes. Yes. I had to stop and think about it. And man, I'm glad you guys are carrying on with me and hanging out. And I love the ideas and the sharing and the stuff that you guys suggest to me. I love it. I love the interaction. So please keep it up. You're my friends. You're my people. Don't leave me. If you do have a show idea, please send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. Yes, Lucky, that is funny. You can also check out the website. It's www.paisleywilde.com. PAISLEYWILDE.com. No spaces, all one word. You can support the Radio Habit. You can do the cash tag. So it's $, TheSpacesBetween. You can also check out iLife.com. Yeah, because iLife is a big deal. It's a pretty big deal. I don't know. Hope you guys have a very fantastic Beltane, that you're set up to do the things that you need to do, and have a good time with it. So that's all for tonight. We'll see you next week on Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week. We'll see you next time.
O Lord, within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.